All right, let's dive into the latest update on the Chicago Bears salary cap situation, and there's quite a bit to unpack here. First up, the big news is the contract extension for Joe Tuni. The Bears locked him up for 2 more years with a $35 million extension on top of his existing 1-year deal worth $16 million. Now, how does this affect the salary cap year by year? This year, Joe Tuni will count for $8 million against the cap, a figure that had already been rumored but is now officially confirmed. Moving into the next 2 years, the cap hits jump to $21.5 million each season. However, if things don't go as planned and the Bears decide to part ways with him in 2027, they'll only face a $5 million dead cap hit. This means the team could save a whopping $16.5 million by cutting or trading him after that 3rd year if necessary. This extension isn't happening in isolation. It fits perfectly into what Ryan Poles has been building for the Bears. Poles' strategy revolves around locking down the team's core interior offensive linemen with 3-year contracts that start this season and include opt-outs after 2026. Alongside Joe Tuni, Joda Jackson and Drew Dolman have similar deals, creating a consistent group up front. The smart part is the minimal dead cap penalties if the Bears decide to move on from any of these guys, giving the front office flexibility without harsh financial consequences. What you're seeing here is a clear plan to build around the young quarterback Caleb Williams, who's still on his rookie contract. That rookie contract is crucial because it allows the Bears to invest resources wisely while Williams develops under new offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, hopefully becoming the long-term answer at the quarterback position. Shifting over to the team's current cap space, the numbers show the Bears with roughly $15,400,000 available, according to Spotrac's latest update. There's always a slight discrepancy between Spotrac and over the cap, but in this case, the difference is minimal, only about $600,000. However, that $15 million figure isn't set in stone yet because the Bears haven't signed. They're 3 second-round draft picks: Luther Burden, Ozzie Trapillo, and Shamar Turner. When these contracts are officially inked, the cap hits will reduce the available space by around $4.5 million combined. Burden's cap hit will be just under $2 million, Trapillo around $1.4 million, and Turner about $1.3 million. That means the Bears' cap space after signing these rookies will likely hover around $10,700,000 going into the new season. Now, having roughly $10 million in cap space might sound like a decent chunk, but NFL teams have to manage this money carefully. For example, most teams like to head into the regular season with at least $5 million reserved to cover weekly expenses like the practice squad salaries, which count against the cap as well. Practice squad players get paid every week during the season, so you can't run the team's cap too tight or risk being unable to pay those players. Ideally, teams like to keep even more than $5 million on hand, closer to $7 million, because unforeseen situations always arise. Injuries, trade deadline deals, and other roster moves require some financial wiggle room. So while the Bears are in a relatively comfortable spot compared to some teams, their space isn't unlimited. With around $10 million in available cap space, the Bears could realistically make one minor move, whether that's signing a free agent or executing a trade that doesn't exceed $5 or $6 million against the cap. Many players targeted in free agency would fit that range, but some bigger names like Zadarius Smith or Jadeveon Clowney might push beyond that threshold. Teams sometimes try to structure contracts creatively by adding void years, extra years, on a deal that don't actually require player service but help spread out a cap hit. For example, a 1-year deal might include 2 void years, lowering the cap number in the short term but creating dead money in future years. Although it's not the preferred route, it's an option if the Bears want to bring in a player they otherwise couldn't afford. When it comes to potential pass rushers like Matt Judon, Von Miller, or Preston Smith, it's expected that their cap hits would stay below $5 million, making them more manageable within the Bears' budget. As for running backs, the situation is even more favorable. Most of the candidates fall into the $4 to $6 million range, which is quite reasonable. This means the Bears wouldn't necessarily have to rely on adding void years to create space at the running back position, which aligns with Ryan Poles' apparent strategy. He has not been one to push cap hits into future years without confidence in the player, And this cautious approach makes sense for a team still building its identity. If the Bears truly believe their window to compete starts this year, they might consider some creative cap maneuvers like restructuring contracts or pushing some money down the road, but for now, their approach remains conservative. Speaking of restructures, that's one of the key tools teams use to free up cap space during the offseason. Competitive teams and those with tight caps like the Saints in past years often restructure player contracts to save money in the near term while spreading out the cap hits into the future. This strategy can help the Bears create additional breathing room if they decide to go after a high-profile player. Looking at specific players who could be candidates for restructuring, DJ Moore stands out. By restructuring Moore's deal, Bears could potentially save up to $15,700,000 against the cap this year. Other possible candidates include Montrevious Sweat, who could free up $13,200,000, Jalen Johnson with $9,900,000, and Cole Kmet at $5,900,000. However, the Bears might be hesitant to restructure Kmet since he's a promising young tight end, and if he has a breakout rookie season, they'll want to keep his contract manageable without adding future dead money. In contrast, there's a bit more comfort with players like Jalen Johnson, who could remain a part of the team for several years. Despite these opportunities, it seems unlikely the Bears will do more than one restructure, if any. Restructuring comes with risks. For example, if they restructure DJ Moore's contract to save cap space this year, what happens if he has a down season? If other players like Luther Burton or Romain Duné step up, the Bears might decide to move on from Moore, but the restructuring would push cap penalties into future years. This means the team has to be confident the player they restructure is a long-term part of their plans. It's a balancing act between flexibility and financial risk, especially under a new coaching staff that might evaluate players differently than the previous regime. Now, what does all this mean for a potential move for Trey Hendrickson? His current cap hit is around $16 million, which is a big chunk, but not impossible for the Bears to accommodate. Even without restructuring anyone else, the Bears could shuffle some minor money around to fit him under the cap, especially if they negotiate an extension similar to what they did with Joe Tuni. An extension would lower his cap hit for the current year, making the move more feasible. So yes, a trade or signing of Trey Hendrickson is definitely still on the table, even if it doesn't look like an immediate priority. Realistically, a trade deadline move for a pass rusher feels more likely than an early season splash. The Bears will probably want to see how Caleb Williams and the offense perform under Ben Johnson before making a big defensive acquisition. If the offense exceeds expectations, but the pass rush still needs help, then they could pull the trigger on a deal similar to how they acquired Montrevious Sweat a few years ago. Nothing is off the table, but it's not a sure thing either. So that's where things stand with the Bears' salary cap and roster planning. The team has some flexibility, but also needs to be cautious with how they manage their money. There are options to restructure and free up space, and the extensions to core players show a clear strategy to balance talent development with financial responsibility. Moving forward, it will be interesting to see what moves the front office makes to support Caleb Williams and the new coaching staff's vision for the team. Continuing from where we left off, it's important to understand the bigger picture behind the Bears' cap management and how it influences their roster decisions. Throughout the offseason and regular season, while the team currently has around $10,700,000 available after accounting for their draft picks, that number is far from a free pass to sign any player they want. The NFL salary cap is a complex puzzle, and every dollar spent has ripple effects that impact the team's flexibility down the line. One of the critical considerations is how the Bears plan to handle their depth and positional needs beyond just the star players. The front office has to balance the salary cap with the necessity of maintaining a well-rounded roster that can withstand injuries and keep competition high in every position group. This means smaller signings and smart roster moves will likely be the way forward. Rather than targeting expensive marquee free agents, the Bears will probably focus on value signings, potentially bringing in role players who fit the system and culture while keeping the core intact. Turning back to potential trades, while the idea of acquiring Trey Hendrickson remains intriguing, it's clear that the Bears are weighing all options carefully. The current cap situation allows for some maneuvering, but it's unlikely that The team will commit to a high-cost veteran without seeing how the offense shapes up first. If Caleb Williams and the new offensive scheme demonstrate promise early in the season, the front office might feel more confident in investing additional resources on the defensive side of the ball to complement that progress. It's also worth noting that the Bears' approach to free agency and trades aligns with their overall rebuilding timeline. This is a team still finding its footing, and while there is optimism around the young quarterback and the coaching staff, there's also a need for patience and measured decision-making. Rash moves or large financial commitments without clear long-term benefit could jeopardize future flexibility and the ability to sustain success. In terms of player retention and departures, the Bears seem poised to prioritize extensions and restructures of a wholesale roster turnover. While the final roster will be trimmed to meet league requirements, major salary-saving cuts are unlikely beyond what is already expected. Kevin Byers' presence on the roster, for example, suggests that the team values stability at certain positions rather than gambling on uncertain replacements. The potential restructuring of contracts is a particularly interesting topic because it reveals how teams manage the salary cap beyond just signing and cutting players. By converting salary into signing bonuses and spreading those bonuses over multiple years, teams can reduce the immediate cap hit for a player. This gives them short-term relief, but adds dead money to future seasons if the player is cut or traded. Therefore, the Bears must weigh the risk of restructuring a player like DJ Moore or Montrevious Sweat against their confidence in that player's ongoing contribution. This strategic financial juggling acts as a form of roster insurance, allowing the team to respond to unexpected circumstances while maintaining a competitive squad. However, it also means that the Bears need a clear vision of their roster's future composition and must be willing to make tough decisions when players no longer fit the plan or the budget. Looking ahead, the Bears will likely continue to monitor the market closely, scouting for opportunities to improve without overextending financially. Veteran pass rushers and complementary players will be prime targets, but only if the terms make sense within the cap constraints. The team's front office has shown prudence in past transactions, and that cautious yet opportunistic approach will probably remain in place as they navigate the complexities of roster building. Ultimately, the salary cap is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Player performance, coaching strategy, health, and chemistry all play critical roles in determining the Bears' success. The financial side provides the framework, but it's the on-field execution and team dynamics that will define the season's outcome. The Bears appear to be laying the groundwork carefully, positioning themselves to be flexible and competitive as the year unfolds. As the season approaches, all eyes will be on how the Bears manage this balance between spending and saving, development, and winning youth and experience. With a young quarterback at the helm and a coaching staff eager to prove their system, the financial decisions made in this offseason will set the tone for Chicago's future. It's a fascinating time to watch how these pieces come together and whether the Bears can translate their cap strategy into tangible results on the field. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be stirring whispers of unrest within the Chicago Bears organization, former NFL legend and Hall of Famer Mike Singletary has recently been spotted making waves with his blunt assessment of the team's current roster. Known for his intense passion and no-nonsense approach during his playing and coaching days, Singletary's recent comments have sparked speculation among fans and analysts alike about possible internal conflicts or deeper issues affecting the Bears' performance. Singletary, who left an indelible mark on the Bears as one of the fiercest linebackers in NFL history, did not hold back when discussing the state of the team in recent interviews. Sources close to the former Bears star reveal that his criticism centered on what he perceives as a lack of cohesion, leadership, and perhaps a diminished competitive edge among the current players. While he stopped short of naming names, his tone suggested disappointment in how the squad has been handling pressure and challenges on the field. This isn't the first time Singletary has been vocal about his high standards for the Bears. His legacy as both a player and a coach has always been tied to discipline and mental toughness, qualities he seems to feel are currently missing. Some insiders speculate that his remarks may be a signal for the franchise's management to reassess team dynamics, locker room culture, or even coaching strategies as the season progresses. The Bears, a team with a rich history and a passionate fan base, have been struggling to find consistent success in recent years. With Singletary's reputation and emotional ties to the franchise, his critique carries weight, and it's likely to add fuel to ongoing debates about the direction of the team. Could this be the start of a deeper reckoning within Chicago's locker room, or just the fiery opinion of a legend holding his former team to the highest standard? As the season unfolds, all eyes will be on the Bears to see if any cracks start to show, or if the team can rally and silence the rumors. For now, Singletary's words hang in the air as a provocative reminder that in the world of professional football, nothing is ever settled until the final whistle blows. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.